True story. Last week I had a dream that I was late for this TED talk. I got here late and I forgot to put my mic on as well because I was late. And then I asked the audience if they could hear me if I was audible, and all of them in unison said no. And then I peed my pants. Now, thankfully, when I woke up, I was relieved to know that this was only a dream. Well, except for the last part, that actually happened. So here goes that. I'm here on time. I have my mic on with me, and am I audible?
Yes.
I heard a few no's. I think I might have let myself go a little bit. Well, folks, it's that time of year again. Christmas is less than a month away from now. So why didn't we talk about a tale from about 110 Christmases ago? The year was December 1914, and World War I was in full swing. Both forces were at war with each other for about 5 months till then. Countless lives were lost in the senseless fighting, until neither force was able to further their frontiers any longer. Both with low supplies and munitions, both with their dead rotting and decaying away in the no man's land that was stretched between the trenches. And on the 24th of December, fighting generally ceased due to these reasons, as both armies were trying to recuperate. Then out of the blue, the British soldiers heard a distant singing over yonder. And what do you know? It's the Germans. They started singing Christmas carols in their trenches. And I know it sounds pretty odd, like the Germans singing, like what could they possibly be singing about? Like the military-industrial complex? I thought they were on Santa's naughty list. But the British, being British, thought that we could do one better, and they started singing their own carols even louder than the opposing army. And this continued on until they both started to compete to outsing the other. And it turned into a full-on carol-off, with both sides belting off their tunes as the best of their ability. And then something even more surprising happened. Soldiers from both sides started popping out their heads from the trenches and waving the signal peace. And the next thing you know, they were crossing that no man's land and they met right in the middle. There they exchanged gifts, they jointly buried their dead, their fallen comrades, and they had cigarettes and cigars with each other, and they even decorated their trenches with candles to give life to the festive spirit of Christmas. They even had a football match with each other, where the Germans won 3-2 against the British. It would be the last time that Manchester lost a match. And the only thing, and they did this in the blistering, bitter cold of the winter months. And the only thing keeping them warm was the warmth of their shared humanity and laughter. That kept them warm at this. Now here's the real kicker. This wasn't an official ceasefire, and it wasn't happening everywhere. In some places, the truce lasted until the 26th of December, and in other places it lasted up to New Year's Eve. And this became known as the Christmas Truce of 1914. It demonstrated to the world that even in the midst of war, when both sides were locked in battle, and fired deadly artillery, and losing countless young lives, that a bit of peace could be recognized. In fact, on December 7th, Pope Benedict XVI pleaded for there to be an official ceasefire. And he shamelessly said that the guns may fall silent at least upon the night the angels sang. And both sides weren't having it. The British probably just brushed it off, and the Germans said something along the lines of "Morgen dein Crumpets marching sein," which roughly translates to "May your crumpets be soggy." A very German thing to say, I hear. But despite all orders from above, it was none other than the common foot soldier who initiated the truce. An even lesser known fact about the truce was that there was a Muslim Anglo-Indian soldier on the front lines, and he was from Lahore. Imagine that. There was a Lahori on the front lines of World War I. And I even have a picture of him. I dug it out from the archives. He's on the far right. And that's it. So I got out. Like Pakistan, हमने से पहले भी लाहौर था या कुछ और था? I guess again the picture. So this is the fake picture. I had a friend Photoshop me on it, but you already got to see it. I had a very nice friend Photoshop me. Took him a few days to do it. And tell me honestly, did I fool you with these ones?
I thought you
Raise your hands if I did. I'm very proud to know. In fact, I showed my mother this picture. She's in the audience, and she couldn't recognize me. And I don't know what that says about me. I don't want to know what that says about me. Now, because they are speaking about me, I was born in the UAE, and it was a beautiful desert oasis, and I've spent the first 13 years of my life there. Now, the UAE is a melting pot of all different kinds of cultures and peoples. You'll meet people from all over the world. I had friends from all over the world. I had friends from every continent, pretty much. I had, for some reason, quite a lot of Irish speakers. And I even had a half American, half Jamaican teacher from Year 4 who I actually reached out to from LinkedIn recently. I'd spoken to him. And we relished in this diversity and we relished in this diversity, and we exchanged culture, we exchanged ideas, and we exchanged food. And speaking of food, I had a Filipino friend who told me about this delicacy from his homeland called balut. Now, what balut is essentially an egg, a recently laid egg that they leave out in a warm environment for about 2 weeks. They leave it out to make sure that the embryo inside the egg could develop. And at about 2 weeks, the embryo floats above the egg white and the egg yolk. And at that point, it has a semblance of a beak, it has blood vessels, and it has leathery skin. And I'll show you a picture of what that looks like.
No.
There it is. And when it would get to this point, they'd boil it. And after boiling it, they would bite half of it, chew, swallow, and then bite the other half and eat it. Now, I know that sounds really weird, like until it comes some border chicken taleta. It's as basic chicken could be. We actually bonded over food quite a bit. We had this day every year called International Day, and there different students from their respective countries would set stalls and bring food over from them. I had an Indian busmate who would share his lemon rice with me every single day, and I couldn't quite get enough of him. It was a South Indian dish. But enough with the human gloom. Are there pragmatic solutions to the issue we face here? Yes, the first of which would be... Okay, never mind. I'll just impromptu this from memory. Now, it's kind of weird, isn't it? How... Fast forward a couple of years and we moved to Pakistan. Now, you would think that there wouldn't be any cultural problems here, that there wouldn't be any discrimination based on culture. Well, strangely enough, there is. There's actually a lot. We've had this country for about 80 years now, which is a hell of a long time, and that's about 2 Junaid terms, and that's about 3 Nassim Shahs. And we've had a lot of time to figure this out, and we still haven't been able to. Now, it's kind of weird how enemies on opposing sides in a bloody conflict could find peace with one another, yet we couldn't. And if you really think about it, I think the British and the Germans are probably more different to each other than we are to each other. I mean, fundamentally speaking, they are the polar opposites of one another. The former quite passionate, and the latter maybe passionate about some other things. But, and this is where I get to it, enough with the human gloom. Are there pragmatic solutions to the issue we face here? Yes. The first of which would be the dissolution of, or the mitigation of ethnic student unions across Pakistan. If you didn't already know, ethnic student unions were established decades ago at Pakistani universities to make other students from other provinces feel more at home, feel more comfortable. Now, this devolved into something else entirely. They became more like gangs than anything else, and ever since the 70s have become a major source of violence amongst us students. That's besides the fact that they often act as auxiliary units to certain political parties in Pakistan as well. Now, I'm not going to name any names from either side because I don't want to be put on a hit list, and nor do I want to be put in the back of a black Vigo. I don't fancy any of that. But what I'm trying to say is that the idea that we need ethnic student councils is antithetical to the ideology of Pakistan. I mean, didn't Qaeda Azam say something along the lines of not needing no Punjabi being better than a Pashtun, no Balochi being better than Sindhi, it's simply against our principles. Now, does that mean that the concerns of students that minorities can't be heard? Absolutely not. There is a way for people's concerns to be heard in the constitutional way. Inclusivity is literally baked into the Constitution of Pakistan. We need to strengthen Article 25, for instance, which guarantees that all citizens are equal before the law and are entitled to equal protection of the law. Under this, we can establish penalties for people that discriminate on the basis of ethnicity. Furthermore, under Articles 51 and 59, we can allocate reserved seats in the parliament for minorities for their voices to be better heard. Other than that, we can, through Articles 1 and 153, strengthen federalism, yada yada yada. I can go on and on about this, but I don't want to bore you with this exhaustive list of legal jargon. What I'm trying to say is that the point that I'm trying to make is that leveraging the Constitution is probably a way better solution than ethnic student unions if we want to inculcate inclusivity in our country. So what is it that we could take away from this? Well, it doesn't take a lot for us to find peace. It doesn't take a lot to bring about changes in society. We can't hope for a messianic government figure to swoop in and save the day. After all, the Christmas truce was initiated by none other than the common foot soldiers, wasn't it? The upper management didn't want it. It just takes one person to pop their heads out from the trenches and walk across the no man's land. And while you're at it, why don't you socialize with the other side of the faith? Maybe share your culture, share your food with one another. And if all else fails, have a cricket match to cover the score. Thanks for listening in, everyone. I have got to run home to change my pants because I'm earlier. Let the credits roll, and thanks again for coming by.